In this video, we're going to go back over some natal charts. The natal chart on the left has already been done. We're now doing the natal chart on the right to see how they compare to each other. Welcome to Archangel Revelations and Prophecies 444. I'm Gat, your host. Alright, so this person is definitely going to be very intuitive, very psychic, very dreamy. This is all Pisces and the moon. The moon's going to connect the person to the fourth house through Cancer because the moon rules Cancer. Cancer rules the fourth house. This person will be into different spiritualities, but spiritualities is wide range. But when Pisces kind of is sacrifice itself, so they have to make sure that they don't give too much because they tend to sacrifice themselves for other people. Now, Aries rules the first house, and this is your ascendant. The ascendant is a location where the sun was over the horizon when this person was born, and the sign of Pisces. And the EP is the sun passing the ecliptic at birth. So they can be a sensitive person, an emotional person, because the moon will make them that way, but they're also going to be intuitive and psychic. So we're going to look at Saturn retrograde. Saturn is one of the two social planets. Saturn slows everything down, but in retrograde it can be a tough taskmaster. It can make us work harder or take longer to think things through for both our actions or the events occurring around us. There are no shortcuts during this time period, and detailed plans shouldn't be rushed. Take time to breathe and do things right the first time. Issues with authority may also be in the forefront during the retrograde. Working on legal matters such as contracts or deals may be delayed. Deadlines may be extended and may find yourself working on something you thought was already complete. Saturn past life. If Saturn is in retrograde in your chart, you may always be in conflict with authority. You may feel persecuted by your boss or upper management, or you may abuse your own authority or position. You have difficulty in setting limitations or determining the limits of others around you. You may have problems with voicing your opinions to those in authority, therefore allowing yourself to be victimized. Patience will also be a lesson. From a past life experience, you may have had a lifetime in an abusive situation, either as the victim or the abuser. You may have been a prisoner, enslaved, or you may once been an abusive ruler. Along with these situations, you were probably immensely impatient, looking for an easy way out of being abused, or looking to make your life easier by making others do even the slightest task for you. To overcome these lessons, you must learn the lessons of patience and the accountabilities of being a leader. If you feel abused, hold those in authority accountable for their actions. If you can lead to constructively voice your concerns and opinions, the rewards will be great. You will be able to take control in this part of your life and end the cycle of victimization. If you are abusing your authority, you must learn to respect those around you rather than continuing with an unrestrained lifestyle. Focus on making plans, setting strategy, and working hard on your task. So that's the challenge in the first house with Saturn retrograde. And again, the first house is ruled by Aries. But now in the second house, once again, you see Aries. But now this is all about possessions. This is all about finances and value system. And Taurus rules that house. So this person may be somewhat focused and somewhat driven when it comes to finances and possessions and their value system. Now we move on to the third house. I know it looks like the second house, but it's the third house because her first house will be where the ascendant and the east point is. And I already counted it on the system as well. So that third house again is Gemini energy. So we're going to do Taurus in the third house. All right, this is astrologyclub.org. You communicate and express yourself through your financial and material resources. So they're very interested in finances and resources. You can see it in the second house as well, and they're aggressive about it. When you feel good about the state of your resources, it may inspire you to embrace ideas or engage in experiences you otherwise would have missed. You may find that you are constantly seeking information that helps you maintain or increase your financial and material resources. When you aren't feeling so good about yourself, you may find that you are rather indifferent or reckless with your resources. You may also notice that you turn away from interactions or information that can expand your wealth and abundance. Keep a positive mindset, and good things will come to you financially, materially, and physically. The lesson to be learned in this third house with Taurus in the third house is one of communication. The proper use of communication in relationship to all. Taurus tends in its relationships with others, especially in communicating, to express its opinion as the be-all and end-all of thought itself. There can be no freedom given to another person's ideas or opinions when Taurus is on the crust of the third house. The conceit of Taurus here must be carefully avoided, for it implies the necessity of allowing other people to have their opinions and their ideas as well. So they might really be kind of domineering when it comes to their finances and things like that in the third house. The third house is ruled by Gemini. It's all about the mind, thinking, multitasking, siblings, and as in step brothers and step families as well, siblings, your environment, the community, which some people also say the brotherhood, earlier education, younger education, and Taurus. Gemini is not known for really going deep. In fact, Gemini, once they think they understand something, they really want to move on. And somebody else might say, "Oh no, no, you're just hitting the surface. We need to go deeper," and he won't be too interested in doing so. All right. We're going to try Pallas conjunct Lilith and see if they have it. All right, this is called astrology.visions / and it goes in, but they're not going to let you see it. So we'll get out of there. All right. So now we're going to say Pallas in the third house. Give me a moment. All right. So this says Pallas aspects. So let me see what this says. Non-Pallas. Let's see. All right. This looks good. Give me a moment. They still don't want to give it to me though. They don't even talk about Lilith on this site. That's interesting. Let's continue. All right, let me do something else. Palace and the houses. All right. Palace in the third house means you are highly intelligent and eager to acquire knowledge. Your communication skills are keen. You have many creative and original ideas. Palace in the third house is an indicator of strong intuitive abilities. One can create with words and communications, revolutionize educational techniques, be an environmental activist. There exists a personal intelligence and a strong thirst for knowledge. This is the house of communications and short journeys. Palace here makes it easier to solve problems while you are walking around the neighborhood, taking short trips, or communicating. The problems you deal with are more likely to concern immediate day-to-day matters. So that's Palace in the third house, but now you also want Palace in Taurus. Give me a second. I think it's been a pain in the ass. They just keep changing everything. Being a pain. Give me a moment, y'all. I'm going to put this on pause. I'll be back. All right. Palace and Taurus. So they receive information through the physical senses because Taurus is sensual. They can heal through the laying on of hands. So this person has an ability to heal, laying on hands. They are skilled in color, form, and texture, so they can transform these things into beautiful works of music, art, or landscapes. So it's a very artistic, creative person. They are connected with the environment, and they use common sense. They have the patience to stick with a cause over the long haul, because Taurus can be very patient. The ability to solve problems increases when they are fed. So they like to eat. You have to keep a Taurus fed. So now it's Lilith in the 3rd house and Lilith in Taurus. Lilith in Taurus gives extraordinary love for the beauty and big emotional activity. You look for your security needs in a relationship, contacting others by flirting. With gifts and properties, others can attract you. And probably you achieve material security in a partnership. But you may get disturbed by the material dependence. And your emotional harmony turns out of the balance. Lilith in the 3rd house can cause misunderstandings and misjudgings while looking on yourself or on another person. Perhaps it is not clear to you how much independence you need, or you don't want to admit that at all. Therefore, you terminate relationships when they become serious. Or you go into a relationship but get very unhappy with it. You don't want to commit yourself, and you also need mental liberty. You feel safe with informal contacts to which you are looking intensively for. And you can get tempted to meetings without problems. All right. So we know the 4th house, 3rd house again is about younger education. 4th house is about teenage to adult education, land and property, real estate, family, ancestors, I'm Coeli in the subconscious. It's ruled by Cancer, and Cancer is ruled by the moon. And the 4th house is also about the heart. But now we have to know what Gemini in the 4th house is all about. So your home environment tends to fluctuate. You may have many visitors and guests stopping by to visit and enjoy parties and entertainment where you serve as the host. Because Gemini is not really known for longevity. Gemini is known for like shorter term situations. So their home or family environment might never be what you would consider like a long term family situation. All right. Now the fifth house is a family sign, but as soon as you see that Mars, you have to be careful because Mars in Cancer. The fifth house is really ruled by Leo. It's actually for fun, romance, travel, children, childlike ways, taking risks, entertainment, creativity. But when you see Mars, anytime you see Mars in the fifth house, or even Mars in the fourth house, anything with children, you do have to be careful. And that one asteroid is Kyrus, but it's right on the fifth house. It's really going into the sixth house is what I'm trying to say. So we're going to count that. We're going to count that as sixth house. Give me a moment. With Cancer in the fifth house, you find the most pleasurable and joy in your recreation pursuits when you are in the company of people or engaging in activities that are from or reminisce of your childhood. You seek to feel emotionally nurtured. And that's what Karis is doing. Karis is the nurturer. Cared for and are protected by participating in activities or spending time with people you hold fond memories of. However, it's usually less about the activity itself and more about how the activity and a person or people you are doing the activity with make you feel about who you are. With Cancer in the fifth house, we are dealing with creativity more than any other affairs of that house. Although children, love affairs are involved, this is because on a basic mundane level, the Cancer person would tend to hold on to children, not cut the apron strings. For example, a woman with Cancer here would mother her boyfriends so that again, the basic emotions can be a trap into which she would fall when it comes to her relationship to her children and her dates. So it might be mothering the wrong people. But on the higher octave, when we are thinking in terms of creativity, again, the compassion and the understanding will enter into the picture. Now, any creativeness in mankind must be coupled with emotion or feeling. An artist who only paints bowls of fruit certainly is demonstrating the technique of art, but a Cancer person in the fifth house can paint a picture which would have an underlying theme of great feeling, compassion, will be involved in the product. So it is again producing the children that is very important here. The feeling aspect must be there, but it might be a higher octave of it. And of course, always by direct reaction to the opposite house and house affairs, we are involved with a concern with the development of relationships. The house they're talking about, the opposite house, is the 11th house. That's opposite of your fifth house, and we will look at that. In the fifth house, the Cancer person must be very cautious about emotionally gambling with life, taking risks, taking chances needlessly. Again, it is a need of being more objective through the element of self-control. One of the Cancer qualities of an emotional intensity could well be modified by the sunny qualities of Leo, because Leo rules the fifth house. Since the fifth house is naturally ruled by Leo, the idea of taking it easy and enjoying rather than becoming tense with life. As far as the creative quality is concerned, Cancer on the crust of the fifth house could be rather intuitive in any creative talent or creative pursuit. Because remember, your moon is in Pisces, and now you got this in the fifth house. So you're going to have a connection to your first house too, because I believe that's where you have moon in Pisces. And moon rules Cancer. That's its ruler. For that person, for this chart, for her chart. All right. Now, but we're not out the woods of this yet. You want Mars in the fifth house. All right. Now this is Vedic astrologer VAIBHAVGUPTA.blogspot.com. Give me a moment. The house of inner joy, the house which tells us the avenues where we will find our minds hooked up. When occupied with Mars, what are its manifestations? Let's see. Mars, when placed in the fifth house, shows a personality whose thoughts and action shows discontented at many levels. Such people show immense creativity irrespective of their age, but there is always a fine line between innocence and childishness. Degree of planets occupying any house should be checked with respect to the degrees of ascendant. If Mars is deeply conjunct with the fifth house, then such personalities show random thought patterns. Mars is all about energy related to actual manifestation, and the fifth house, in its essence, is of deep pondering, thought domain. And we see immediate disconnect between these two aspects. Much indeed can be seen in these people. This placement often gives love for sports, and other authentic activities, where you satisfy your inner instincts by giving outlet to a tremendous energy living inside. Whenever we are dealing with Mars, a comparison with Mercurian impact could clearly bring the true picture with the help of contrast. On a subtle level, these people remain vulnerable to get influenced by others. And they keep saying that, like this person can be influenced by others, and they may not know how to tell another person no. How actually their thinking patterns will evolve will depend on the overall fabric of the chart and relationships of this Mars with other planets. Generally, these people carry suppressed anger deep within themselves, whose expression often turns violent at times, and that's why you have to be very careful with children. Articulation is something which they need to learn when it comes to convey their feelings. If Mars expects from difficult planets, then such persons could often become sarcastic in their approach and suffer internally themselves. This position also shows proneness to health issues, and such people cannot afford to live with unorganized eating habits. And we already learned that Taurus likes to eat. So this person can become a storehouse of tremendous grit. In times of adversity and darkness, their courage becomes their guiding light. Relationship of Mars with Moon and Sun. We already did the Moon in the first house. And Sun, because the Sun rules Leo. Should be checked to judge the channelization of energy in relationships. They like to be pretty straightforward and playful. Ego issues can hamper the development of peaceful personal relationships at times, owing to their impulsive outbursts, as aggression becomes part of their personality as they grow up. It's important to judge the state of Mars, and if under difficult influence, it might throw one in pursuit of power and lust, whose driving force is thought deeply embedded in subconscious mind to establish authority over others. This person might be highly ambitious, or they might be too submissive. Because of this placement, one might feel restricted in terms of body, or else there might be some deeply rooted pain owing to failed relationship. It's hard to believe on the face, but such aspects spur from our own karmic debt and have a single aim They help us in our own journey towards perfection. Basically called Vedic astrologer, and I already spelled. I'm not gonna try to spell that again. Mars in the 5th house. So again, that's the house with children as well. So you have to watch the anger, because the person might have repression, and they had an anger inside. It could be for family or where they come from, their whatever family they come from, how they were raised. Now we're going to try Vesta conjunct Mars. Right, let me look somewhere else. Now I'm going to try this and see what happens. This is Bob Mark Astrologer. Whenever you see Vesta, it shows where your energy is, and wherever Vesta is, you have to be careful because you can get sick because you'll actually burn out. But Vesta also represents fireplace, the furnace, electricity power, the heater. Can be electricity in the car, electricity in yourself, energy. Vesta can mean sexuality. It just depends on where the placement is. And Vesta works with Virgo. So Cancer is about the family. Virgo is about the home. Vesta in the 5th house. Romance can be hot and heavy, but then you simply have to take a break. Which means sometimes you have to get away from it so you can recharge. Otherwise you may get sick, literally sick. Same thing, 5th house also rules children, sports, games, creativity, gambling, speculation, hobbies, taking risks, traveling, anything that's fun. So you do have to withdraw and recharge. And Vesta also has a spiritual connotation to it too. So sometimes it's not just recharge; it's also doing something spiritual. And we already ascertained that in the 1st house. Okay, well, Curious in the 6th house, that's where your Leo is. That's all about healing and nurturing. So this person will be a leader in healing, health, the home, service, small children, animals, daily activities, subordinates, and co-workers. So you see Leo there, again, this person's a fun person. They can be kind of bold as well. They have leadership abilities there. But what we want to do now, we want to do Cancer in the 5th house, Libra in the 8th house. And let me look at that again. Yep. And then we'll come back to the 8th house again. But we definitely want to read this now. This is sexualastrology.com. If Cancer is in your 5th house, then love, sex, and dating will have a significant amount of emotion attached to it. You are not here to have a casual sexual relationship without any feelings involved. Sex without love is difficult, if not impossible, since you're so vulnerable and sometimes guarded. With Cancer in your 5th house, you will be exceptionally protective and nurturing, and that's why you got Curious there taking you into your 6th house. And love and any relationship, even a casual date, will bring out your mothering instinct. If Cancer is in your 5th house, you might fall in love more easily with a partner who shares your heritage and traditions, or someone who is interested in eventually raising a family together. Cancer in the 5th house must feel emotionally secure with a lover in order to truly let go and enjoy the pleasures of sex and dating. With Libra as a sign of your 8th house, you'll strive to achieve balance in your sexual and intimate life. You might go out of your way to make sure that you both achieve orgasms simultaneously, since this could be an expression of equality in the most sexual sense. If Libra is a sign in your 8th house, you'll also feel turned on if your level is graceful in bed rather than crash or dirty. Libra in the 8th house is gentle and concerned with a romantic approach to love and sex, rather than a highly charged taboo encounter that you might be embarrassed to talk about in the morning. When you have Libra in your 8th house, you want a sexual relationship that meets you halfway and will likely voice your dismay if you feel anything less. You have a seductive yet intellectual way of expressing for what you want in bed. And we will return to the 8th house when we get there. Alright. So her 11th house has 2 retrogrades. So we're going to wait till we get there to talk about it. Alright, so we definitely explained the 6th house. 7th house, again, you see Virgo with the relationship sector. Libra rules this house. It's all about healing. So her relationship can actually heal her, or could make her feel indifferent. And that's what you see in her 7th house. You even see Chiron there. And that's where she'll meet someone significant. The vertex cross is there. Her sun sign is Virgo. And her vertex cross is a significant meeting, a significant event, a significant breakup, might even be a soulmate with a Virgo in the 7th house. And it's going to again be Chiron is the healer, healing for her. So now you want good fortune and Virgo, and you want good fortune and the 7th house. This person was born soon after a full moon. So she is born shortly after a full moon. So she had the full moon in Virgo when she was born. This is a person who is so idealistic that they want to see only the best in everything, in every person, in every situation, even in every problem. They are looking for quality in all their relationships because they are really seeking personal illumination. They would like to know their purpose in life. The personality shines through their relationship and partners. The good fortune in the 7th house might lead to partnerships with wealthy people. And again, that goes back to what they were saying in the 2nd house, and I think the 3rd house as well. Good fortune in Virgo. We're going to do good fortune in the Sun. When the Sun is conjunct good fortune, remember how we arrive at the good fortune. The ascendant and the moon and the Sun itself combine to show us where the avenue to happiness, success, and sheer joy is located. We look to the house, we look to the sign, and now we look to the planet to tell us more. When the Sun is conjunct the good fortune, the person can shine with his whole being in response to the solar illumination. Good fortune in Virgo. The characteristic style of Virgo is intellectual, analytical, conservative, and always seeking perfection. The person with the good fortune in Virgo uses their mastery of details to attain happiness and success. The only danger with Virgo is, Virgo is a perfectionist. And they may not see it that way, but other people see it as being critical. Even like they said earlier, it can be sarcastic too. And a lot of it, men are real funny especially. But women don't like it either. But men really don't like it. I mean, some men may be different, but some men don't like when you're like sarcastically bringing out their faults and stuff. They don't really like it. Now, we're back in the 8th house. Let me do this again. Yeah, we're back in the 8th house. Mercury. Okay, so for now, whatever I read, they're all about partnership in this house. It could be a relationship, it could be partnership, it could also be law in this house. And they're gonna have great communication. So they may have a great communication for partnership, legal stuff, law, relationship, even contracts. It's the 7th house, and you gotta the 8th house, and you gotta remember that's also other people's resources. So that could be inheritances, it could be legal issues. So let's do Libra and the 8th house, but we're still gonna read the 8th house. We're gonna do Libra and the 8th house first. All right, I type Libra in the 8th house because it being very difficult, which I did explain, but I really wanted to read it. I wanted somebody else's take on it, but I did explain it. All right, we have astrology, astrologyclub.org. We'll go with that. Because see, the 8th house is ruled by Scorpio. Now remember, let me just look around. And just keep one thing in mind, because we were asking about Scorpio energy. Well, that's still the 7th house, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, with a vertex crosses, that can mean soulmate. It's in the 7th house. But because we're not positively sure of the time, that vertex could be closer to the 8th house. Not saying that it is, because it almost looks perfect at 26 with the sun. This person likely seeks power and influence through their partnerships, which are often strategic in nature. You are so determined to protect yourself from being controlled or emotionally manipulated by others, you put up a very strong emotional defense to do your best to keep others at arm's length. However, because you often wait or expect your partners to provide you financially, material, and or physically, you end up placing yourself in the exact position you're trying to avoid. That of being controlled by your partners because you depend on what they provide you. And so they give you money, food, shelter, or sex. Now remember, the 8th house is opposite the 2nd house. 2nd house is your money. 8th house is other people's money. And both Taurus, who rules the 2nd house, and Libra, who's in your 8th house, they're both ruled by Venus. For this reason alone, it's likely that you strive to partner with individuals that you can control, manipulate, or hold some sort of power over, mentally or emotionally, or spiritually, in order to balance out their control over your financial, material, physical resource needs. And it takes you right into where Virgo is, right into Scorpio, because Scorpio rules. Scorpio rules the 8th house. So at least you're getting a little insight as to why she's having these connections with Scorpios. Because that's all about codependence and power and manipulating people and power struggles. All right, so let's read it. We're going to read the 8th house again. The 8th house is ruled by Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto and deals with secrets, mysteries, esoteric knowledge, forbidden knowledge, hidden knowledge, obsessions, addictions, power, power struggles, abuse, greed, compulsion, behavior, stalking, intense watery emotions, arguments, debates, taunting, revenge, intensity, psychic abilities, great transformations, high sexuality, doubt, debt, taxes, the IRS, legal matters, court, law breaking, shared resources, inheritances, finances, business, karma, other people's money, the soul, reincarnation, afterlife, birth, death, resurrection, rebirth, regeneration, rejuvenation, animalistic behaviors, freaky, down and dirty behaviors, psychological situations, studies, research, knowledge, forbidden knowledge, hidden knowledge, investigations, investigators, managers, addictions, drugs, alcoholism, other worlds, creepy crawlies, other dimensions, science, higher sciences, holistic healing, healings, spiritual healings, alternative medicine, alchemy, metaphysics, sacred geometry, things that are forbidden, taboo, astrology, knowledge, hidden knowledge, aliens, higher life, astral planning, telekinesis, telepathy, dreams, interpretations, animals, enemies, Halloween, the divine womb, deities, tarot cards, higher thought, inheritances, loans, banking, animals, pregnancy, woman's body, karma, business, and finance. The 8th house rules other people's money and transformation. Other people's money can mean debt, taxes, inheritances, joint finances, spouse or partner, and loans. The 8th house is on the axis with the sex house, exact opposite of the 2nd of the 8th house, and is an axis of money. The 2nd house is your money. The 8th house is other people's money. Transformations can be mental, emotional, physically. It can be sex, start of life, pregnancy, process of life, and major transformation to a woman's body, and death, both literally and or figuratively. The more serious side of life and deep thought are very 8th house. The 8th house also tends to be misunderstood a bit, seen as depressing. The 8th house is one of the 3 relationship houses. The 5th house is love. The 7th house is commitment. The 8th house is sex. And remember, Mars used to rule Scorpio, but now it rules Aries. But you still have Aries energy when you're dealing with Scorpio. That's why you got such aggression coming out of Scorpio. Give me a second. 7th house. Commitment. 8th house sex. All right. So her true north node tells her she would find herself in a relationship with a Scorpio. And that could almost lead to marriage. But again, you know why it's tricky? And I would have said this, even if you didn't tell me what you told me, I would have said, but it might be 2 different people. Because I've seen it before. I'm not saying that's the truth, but when I see something like that, I'm going to tell you that could be 2 different people. Just if you notice, one is entering the sign and one is exiting the sign. And she's a true Scorpio because there's Pluto. So this is great power, intensity. That's what Pluto is. Great transformation. The underworld, a woman's womb. So not only does she like to travel, but she loves that 8th house travel. That could be telepathy, astral planning, or it could just be traveling, going to really things that concern the 8th house. But the 9th house is long distance travel. Now that's her true north node. Her life purpose is right there, 8th house. Now Her third house is her past life, the South Node. So whatever we said about that third house in Taurus, that's her past life. So she has to be careful because a lot of people, it's easier to return to the third house because you've already done it. So you want to make sure she's staying in the true North Node, which is Scorpio in the 9th house. And Juno, so Jupiter is a lot of money there. And Venus is a lot of finances too. But this is going to be money based on Scorpio stuff, just like they said about the 7th house. And remember, Venus rules Taurus and Libra. So they're still using your past life energy and tying in with your present life. It's still about money. When I say you, I mean her. So that's what you're seeing. So now you want Scorpio in the 9th house. Give me a second, I'm clearing some things up. All right. All right, this is going to be astrologyclub.org. You are very emotionally invested into your spiritual, religious, and or philosophical beliefs, because that's all your 9th house. Foreign travel, long distance, philosophy, religion, languages, culture, beliefs. And you attract and or seek out others who have an open mind to what you have to offer philosophically and intellectually. You want to teach others about power and control and how to wield it, and others will come to you because they believe or perceive you have access to the mysteries of the belief system or philosophy in question. Be careful that this doesn't become something where you use your power and influences as a teacher or mentor to control or manipulate your students into questionable behaviors or positions. In any house placement for Scorpio, if any house placement for Scorpio is inclined, it would be this one. Be aware of the power you have and how you choose to use it. Use the healthy wisdom of your life experiences to navigate your own course and your coursework for others. Here again, we must emphasize the need for the involvement of the Scorpion in intellectual pursuits of a higher nature, higher education. Scorpio here should be interested in philosophy, psychology, religion. There could be a tendency for dogmatism, which Scorpio must avoid. And it's going to be hard because you got Pluto there too. There could be a tendency also for being very critical, judging others, not taking into consideration the differences of likes and dislikes and the appeal of different disciplines for all people. Since the 9th house is directly opposite the 3rd house, it further emphasizes the need for Scorpio to communicate, but to communicate on a higher level. However, the problem might be that Scorpio might tend to communicate only on an abstract level rather than on a practical, mundane level. Scorpio likes to research subjects, dig into, and discover their essence. Scorpio must then bring out the results of these researches to others for their enlightenment also. It is not easy for Scorpio in the ninth house to function from the Christ concept of harmony with others and wisdom, knowledge applied to life. It should also be remembered that Scorpio in the ninth house completes the third quantum of the we concept, the identification of self with all of life, so that Scorpio in the ninth house brings in the possibility of this completion of the self from the viewpoint of non-self, but through a loss of self-identification. So that's the challenge they have in this life. So when we read your 8th house, everything that's in your 8th house is in your 9th house because of Scorpio and Pluto. This is Pluto in the 9th house, myastrologybook.com. The 9th house is where we search for truth, experiences that broaden the mind and help us form our philosophy of life. Here we expand our consciousness, synthesize meaning and facts and experience, adjust personal attributes to collective ideas, and understand how things are integrated into systems. This house rules higher education, religious and ethical understanding, spiritual visions, in-laws, long journeys, law, and higher courts. Here is what remains of the purification that took place in the 8th house, its seed or essence. Religion comes from the Latin re, back, or lagar, to bind, hence to bind back, and thus refers to all things that last or endure, such as the truth. Many planets in the 9th are usually an indication of being unwilling to accept the conventional limits with which we were raised. So she has Juno, she has 3. So that's a nice amount of planets. Because her life, where she came from, might not have been the best. And that's why she is the way she is now. The arena of greatest intensity and personal growth in your life is higher education or your spiritual and philosophical beliefs. This is where you either transform or evolve, or that which must die is annihilated. You may be able to breathe new life into already established doctrines or beliefs. You are passionate in your search for truth, and your travels will be a great source of growth and personal renewal. If Pluto is in a hard aspect to the Sun, Mars, Saturn, and Uranus, you may have a great power struggle with in-laws, and if both Mars and Saturn are involved, be aware of violence in that regard as well. No hard aspects. All right. Tenth house, Sagittarius. Now this could have to do with education and or travel. And MC is the medium coeli or the midheaven. All right, we're going to do an astrology club again. Sagittarius in the 10th house. Now again, so Juno means she might find herself in a serious relationship, maybe even marriage with Scorpio. And as you see, the guy on the right, his sun sign is Scorpio, and her true life node is experiences with a Scorpio and Pluto. And as you see, his is Scorpio and Pluto. That's his sun sign, so that may be talking about him. All right. So now we're doing Sagittarius in the 10th house. A defining element of your public or personal identity is your passion for exploration and adventure. Others see you as outgoing, daring, bold, and wise. Your career and personal ambitions may be dependent on the ability to exercise your personal freedom and your love of personal growth and expansion. You may also find that your public persona doesn't shine as brightly without others to share your wisdom and knowledge with. Your passion for discovering new information and seeking the truth and meaning of things can greatly influence your career and professional status, for better or worse. It's likely that you are either sought after for your wisdom or exercise, experience, and or your determination to get to the real truth of matters at hand. So people are impressed with that. We are dealing with the area in which we contribute to life. So freely as you receive, so freely give. The contribution that Sagittarius can make is again knowledge. And by direct reaction to the 4th house is where the Sagittarian can influence and affect others. In a negative way, this location could emphasize the opportunist quality of the Sagittarian or the self-centeredness, seeking the prestige and the recognition, because your 10th house is career and reputation. This is a subliminal influence of the sign of Capricorn as the natural ruler of the 10th house, because Capricorn is all about career and reputation. And again, in your 4th house was Gemini. You kind of understand it. So because her 4th house had Gemini, it may not have been what she needed or wanted, because Gemini tends to come up short. So now in the 10th house, she's making up for it through the whole thing we've been telling you about the 9th house and Sagittarius. But a lot of people that have like a troubled upbringings, they go into the unknown, and that's what Scorpio and Pluto was all about. It is this location of Sagittarius which increases the quality of restlessness. Sagittarius is a sign that changes jobs more than any other sign of the zodiac. So professionally, the Sagittarian would go from position to position, but always from the viewpoint of how much better off the world would be in a new position. Sagittarius tends to acquire the necessary skills and information in one position as an instrument of promotion, of changing onto a better location. It seems that Sagittarius, especially in this location, is symbolic of what would be called the professional wanderers. Sagittarius in the 10th house should be the giver, not the taker. Now we are involved with the 4th quartile, the quartile of fulfillment, and in this location, knowledge gleaned by the Sagittarian could bring in a personal fulfillment that will culminate in the 12th house. Because it must be remembered that which is presented to the public must ultimately be reflected of that which exists within. That fulfillment and perfection will produce the kind of public image that the Sagittarian desires. Now again, so she's trying to have a career and reputation with her friends, because that's the 11th house. It's ruled by Aquarius, but Uranus rules Aquarius. All right. So we'll do Now, most important, your Neptune and, well, her Neptune and her Uranus are retrograde. So what I'm reading is if they were direct, but you can still learn from it, and then we're still going to look up the retrogrades as well. This is astromatrix.com. Give me a moment. Give me a moment. This conjunction came with a 9-degree orb in November 1988, was exact in February, August to October 1993, and stayed in the orb until 1998. The last time before that was 1821 to 1823. These people have a strong degree of identification with the collective mind and group consciousness. So like she can really say things and people will follow her, which in some cases could revert back to fervent nationalistic affinities in countries that have a powerful controlling religious, racial, political, and social structure. Yet in most cases it is unlikely that this will result in the emergence of charismatic demagogues, as in recent examples of the manipulation of the masses. There will be a directing sense of social responsibility and an awareness of participating in the social community, which will be expressed in positive ways for the betterment of all. The merged energies of this conjunction will inspire concepts of brotherhood, which will reflect the ideas of Uranus and Neptune as a form of revolutionary mysticism emerging from an acute mental and emotional sensitivity connected to an intuitive, imaginative faculty. Personal freedom and rights will have a high priority, and there will be a new perception of leadership being formed, which can dissolve those old patterns of a powerful leader and hundreds of following sheep. There is a distrust of leaders based on an intuitive perception of their real motivations and characteristics, which will also develop into a new understanding of authority and power in society. Those born under this aspect will be willing to fight for the maintenance of personal freedoms and rights if they are under threat by the decisions of social leaders. A new balance of power between the people and the state will begin to form, and new politics should rise into view, reflecting this increase in individual rights and power. Generally, this should be a period of spiritual and scientific development where breakthroughs occur in the exploration of nature and mind. Changes that became inevitable by 1994 will have to be more fully achieved and realized by this new generation, imbued with a more conscious spirit of human unity and solidarity. All right, now we're doing Neptune retrograde. When Neptune is retrograde, logic falls to the wayside. People gain an increased interest in intuition or esoteric matters. Dreams and psychic abilities find new followers as people beginning to analyze their inner natures. New outlets of communications come to the surface as artistic abilities get expressed. Neptune is a ruler of over bacteria, viruses, and the immune system. So when it goes retrograde, allergies may kick up or worsen. In addition, children who are given vaccinations during this time can develop stronger reactions to the drug. Many people will suffer with an oversensitive immune system and can develop more serious disease. If Neptune is retrograde in your chart in past lifetimes, well, now let me read that again. It says Neptune past lifetime. That's the title. If Neptune is retrograde in your chart, you are prone to escape reality through delusion or dreams. Few people really know what goes on in your mind, whether you're sitting across from the dinner table or at your desk in the office. Even while you're working, you have a strong tendency to drift off into daydreams to more pleasurable pursuits. This can be one of the most dangerous retrograde positions in the astrological chart system. This position can cause people to be inhibited and lack the confidence to reach for their dreams and reality. Consequently, they may find escape from the perceived failure through an abuse of drugs and alcohol. They may also fall into an escape from reality altogether and have bouts with various forms of mental illness. From a past lifetime perspective, you may have had a lifetime where your dreams were laughed at, put down, or forbidden in some fashion. Or you may have been forced to give up your lifelong dream in exchange for other responsibilities, such as becoming the breadwinner for your family unexpectedly. These past restrictions may cause you to have a penchant for escapism or have extreme expressions of your creativity. This has probably gotten the best of you and caused other problems with various aspects of your current life. To overcome these lessons, you need to learn how to rise above challenges that come across your path. If you abuse drugs, alcohol, use other unhealthy behaviors to escape your responsibilities or the unpleasant moments of life, you need to seek help and overcome these habits and desires. To rise above these challenges, use your creativity in a positive manner. Learn to control it and not let it control you. Focus on your efforts to not only better yourself in your life, but consider helping others who are going through the same thing just like you are. Okay, that was Neptune retrograde. Now Uranus retrograde. Uranus retrograde suggests that you expect the unexpected sometimes come out of nowhere. Surprises come out of nowhere. This can be wonderful or undesirable, depending on the situation. Uranus is the oddball of the planets in our solar system. It brings whims of fancy that amaze and amuse, or it can come with chaos, either externally or in the world, or internally in the individual. Internally to the individual. At this time, some people might find their wilder side coming to the surface. The outgoing person can become uncharacteristically shy. Extreme variations or opposites in your personality are not uncommon, and you'll find yourself behaving very differently than other people perceive you. If Uranus is retrograde in your chart, you probably live your life to the extreme in many aspects, whether you're an extreme extrovert or extreme introvert. There's a little middle ground in your frame of mind. You see life as black and white with little to no gray areas at all. In one of your previous lives before this one, you were probably a rebel or revolutionary, always fighting the establishment or looking for battles that challenge fairness. Though this lifestyle has its merits, it can be pushed to the extreme. Your extreme lifestyle has always interfered with or perhaps even destroyed many other facets of your life. To overcome these lessons, you need to learn that giving an inch can sometimes gain you a mile. Find the middle ground and learn the art of compromise. Learning compassion can help you live in someone else's shoes and seeing the other side. It can also help you to accept that others have different views or beliefs. Those alternative views aren't wrong, they're just different. All this will help you find the gray areas in life. Take a moment to appreciate the useful aspects of structure. Choose your battles and accept that some structure in life is not just a good thing, but in some cases it is required. Okay? The 12th house is a house of reckoning. So let's read the 12th house. Give me a moment. The 12th house is the house of the subconscious. The 12th house is commonly referred to as the house of the unconscious. The unconscious state can help engender our success as well as assist us in coping with our failures. Success versus failure: do we consciously confront our lives or subconsciously sweep things under the proverbial rug? This house might more aptly be called the house of reckoning, since it is in the 12th house that we review what we have been and done and decide where we go from here. Along with these unconscious musings, we also deliberate on strengths and weaknesses that are hidden from public view. Our subconscious works hard on our behalf, trying to make sense of our lives. This shadow play is slow and long and often fraught with fear and pain. It is in this contest that we are confronted with our sorrows, sufferings, and the secrets we keep from ourselves and from others. Ultimately, we are also confronted with our fate, karma. Here we meet the results of everything we have done. This further puts the focus on repressed agendas and restraint. What have we lost with our lives? This is the key question of the 12th house, and we will deal with it both consciously and unconsciously. Will the answers compel us to be transformed or reborn? This is another cornerstone of the 12th house, the manner in which we move forward. We can learn much from the unconscious. It is a most noble manifestation. We will be prompted to be charitable. If we learn our lessons, both past and present, we will also better equipped to move forward. The 12th house compels us to seek closure in a spiritual way as a need to positive growth. The last house of the zodiac also recognizes that we can feel bound in life, stuck and confined. For this reason, the house rules jails, hospitals, institutions, asylums, buildings, churches, and any other space that inhibits freedom. More gloominess in the 12th house comes in the form of danger, secret energies, secret enemies, and clandestine affairs, prostitution, sexual exploits, addictions, animals. Beware. So finally, we're going to end with Aquarius in the 12th house. You are influenced by groups and collaborative efforts you perceive as compassionate and sensitive to the survival of the world and its creatures. You are also likely to look to and utilize technological advancements for ways to make a positive difference in the world around you. With Aquarius in the 12th house, you may be very sensitive when it comes to your awareness of group dynamics and collective energies. You pick up on everything around you as if it's your own, and this may get you lost in the group's energy. You may lose yourself in the process of being of service to others. That said, people with this placement are usually the introverted, misunderstood, artistic type. You may notice that you tend to shun certain aspects of society and its norms in order to keep your unique individual expression pure and true. You may not want to be tainted by popular culture, or you may seek a way to make a mark on pop culture through your creation or participation in a secret society beneath or beyond all that. It is a position of Aquarius that can almost easily align itself with universality. Aquarius are always advocating for searching for cosmic consciousness. Here is where Aquarius can accomplish it. This is the fulfillment house in the quartile of fulfillment, and Aquarius can fulfill itself through humanitarian activities of a spiritual nature. Here is where the Christ concept of harmony and wisdom should be emphasized most by Aquarius. The cosmic responsibility of Aquarius in the 12th house is to deeply and sincerely be involved in spirituality. But it must not be an intellectual concept. It must be a working concept. There must be the selfless service to mankind, to humanity. Spiritually, the compassion and the understanding would be emphasized here rather easily by Aquarius from the 12th house, since it is part of their basic nature anyway. They must realize that the principle of humanity applies to them, and also be aware that the laws of karma apply to them as well as the rest of mankind. A caution would have to be stressed here for the Aquarian. Being an extremist could become too extreme in his spiritual endeavors. The Aquarian could be the spiritual do-gooder. There is nothing worse than a good doer in the world on any level. Leo has an overt ego. It is easily recognized. Aquarius has a covert ego. It is there just as well, but it is not as easily recognized. And this is further emphasized by Aquarius on the 12th house, which brings in the subjective or the introvert, and this is the ego that must be set aside to join the universal life. All right. That is going to conclude this natal chart. Again, if anybody is interested in anything, such as natal charts, anything intuitive, we do it all. This twin flame natal chart compatibility, life purpose natal chart, your own natal chart. Want to know about your life? Anybody, your family, relatives, friends. Some people ask about animals. We can do that. Anything that was born, you can do their natal chart. They're all going to come under the zodiac. But we do anything intuitive. Numerology, it doesn't stop. We do research for people. Some people are busy. So anything that's intuitive, card readings, we do that as well. So again, you can look in the description box, but for our entire service list, you can just contact me. That information is also in the description box. And also for people that just want to get started, all we need to do your natal charts is month, day, year of birth. If you don't have the time of birth, we can ask archangels. If you want to do an estimate of your time of birth, you can do that whatever you like. City, state, or town and state and country, if not the USA. And the gender as well. All right. God bless.